All right, we want to welcome everybody out today to a brand new episode of I Am Salt Lake podcast. If this is your very first time listening and you just downloaded it and you're like, what am I about to listen to? Well, this is a podcast all about showcasing awesome people right here in Salt Lake City. You know, we're talking to musicians, we're talking to authors, business owners, restaurant owners, distilleries, really anyone that might have a cool story to share. So we want to welcome you out today to episode 359. My name is Chris.
And my name's Christina.
And we're, of course, recording today out of our brand new podcast studio located right in the back of Empire Merchandise. They're located at 680 South State Street. Now, not only does Empire have an amazing selection of vape juice and vape accessories, but this is where you can now buy your very own I Am Salt Lake podcast t-shirt. Hey, the holidays are right around the corner, you guys, so stop on by and
everyone needs one for Christmas.
Pick up a shirt for your loved one and grab a free sticker while you're here. We have I Am Salt Lake podcast stickers right up at the front counter. They're free. Make sure to grab one of those and slap it on the back of your car.
Today on the podcast, we get to sit down and talk with Tracey Dean. Tracey is the president of the Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, and we had an awesome conversation where we get to find out Tracey's story, as well as exactly what the Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce is.
Before we get into that interview, of course, we want to give a little bit of love to our sponsors for this episode, Five Wives Vodka and Market Source Real Estate. We're going to be telling you more about them a little bit later on in the podcast.
And don't forget to head on over to our website at iamsaltlake.com. This is where you can get lost and dig through our entire back catalog of episodes. Also, a lot of people don't realize that we have an awesome events calendar on the website, so you can always go and check out what's going on in Salt Lake. Again, the website is iamsaltlake.com. Go check it out and bookmark it.
All right, guys, here's that conversation with Tracey Dean when she came and sat down with us to share her story. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. I don't know, you've listened to a few episodes, I'm sure. Have you heard us ask this question, is what did your childhood smell like?
I have heard you ask, and this is actually funny. I grew up on the Sandy Draper border, and my memories of childhood was really working on my dad's mink ranch. So my smell was not a great one. In fact, it was a horrible one. And so he had a small mink ranch off 114th South there. And I helped him with everything when I was small, cleaning out the water cups and feeding them. And then my favorite part was when the babies were too small to help them in an incubator to get larger and grow, and so I helped them live.
Was this one of the mink farms that got like animal rights people like try to free them or anything like that? Is this kind of one of those mink farms that were here in Utah?
Yeah, I'm sure. It was a long time ago. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm 42. I
don't think, are there mink farms anymore?
I think there are a few still in the Lehigh area, but I'm not completely positive. But back then, I'm sure it was happening, but I wasn't aware. I was just a kid and didn't get the concept of that.
I just remember hearing stories back in the day. I mean, not relevant to the conversation really, but I mean a little bit just because it's Utah history really too.
Yeah.
But, so you grew up here in Utah your whole life. You've been here your whole life.
Yes, I did move when I was 20 to San Diego.
But you came back. I
came back. Interesting story.
How long were you in San Diego?
I was there for 4 years and I love San Diego. In fact, I think everyone should move away from Utah at some point. And not that I don't love Utah and Salt Lake, and I think it's a great place. But coming from a place of diversity, especially back, I graduated high school in 94, moved to San Diego in 97. From a place of diversity, it just wasn't there. And so that made me grow so much as a person. And it was a great, great experience, great fun town. Just had a great time. And the reason that I came back is I was in a car accident. I was ejected from the car and died. And so I had to rehab with my family for a year here in Salt Lake.
You died?
I did.
What happened there? I mean, nobody just dies and then you're here talking to me on the podcast. I mean, you obviously are alive now.
It's true.
I mean, talk about that. So they pronounced you dead, or?
Yeah, so I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I lived in San Diego. We were driving to Lake Powell, so just outside of Vegas. We hit into another car rolled 10 times, and we were both ejected, myself and my boyfriend at the time. And so he luckily was in the Navy, and he resuscitated me. He came to. And then I was life flighted to Vegas, UMC in Vegas, and they didn't expect that I would live. So they called my mom and said, you better get here because you got to figure some stuff out. So clearly I'm here, and they did save my life, which was amazing. Only 24% of people that are ejected from the car live. So
like through the windshield, the whole 9 yards.
I think through the side
Through the
window?
side. Doesn't really matter,
Yeah,
I guess. I was just curious. Wow.
Well,
I'm glad you're here.
Wow.
Thank you.
I'm glad
I
you're
mean, what was that experience like? What did you take? Did you like have any kind of huge revelation from something like that?
So I don't remember any of it, which is probably a good thing, honestly. But I woke up on September 5th of 2000. My birthday is September 7th. And I said, the first thing I said is it my birthday yet? So,
were you aware of kind of what was happening?
I guess from some respect, but I was in a coma for 5 days. Wow. So I have no idea. And I don't remember being in the hospital. I mean, I had several surgeries. I have bars and screws and titanium rods in my body, and basically everything was shoved up my chest cavity. So they had to do exploratory surgery and figure out where stuff went. That's kind of the quick version of all of that.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it. I don't remember until getting on the flight back to Salt Lake, and that was horrifying and painful.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about your family? Did you come from a big family, small family?
No, small family. My mom and I have 2 sisters. We grew up in Sandy, and then my mom and dad were divorced, so we lived 4 houses up from the mink farm.
Very cool.
In Sandy.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you're familiar a little bit with the podcast. I always like to find out a little bit about the person we're chatting with, where they grew up, what brought them to Utah, what they like, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into a lot of that later. I wouldn't mind jumping right into the Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, though.
Yeah.
Cool. Because that's kind of in my opinion, more what I want to talk about on this episode, if that's okay with you, Tracey.
Absolutely.
What exactly is it even? I don't know much about it, to be honest with you. I don't know how much you know.
Yeah, I mean,
it.
I know of it, but I don't think we're very familiar with exactly what you guys do and what your mission is and all that stuff.
That's the first step, of it. So
yeah, that's a good first step.
We've been around for 6 years, so we're a 501c6 organization. And basically, we are a non-geographical chamber of commerce. So you've heard of the Sandy Chamber, the Salt Lake Chamber. We are sort of a diversity chamber, I like to call it. And our goal is to network and to grow small to medium-sized businesses in Utah, really, we're the Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber. And obviously the pronounced, LGBTQ population of business ownership is what we try to promote. Although we have probably 40% allies in our membership base. So we have anywhere from I want to be part of this because I want to show my support to the LGBT world and work with like-minded individuals in that regard. So we do education, we do, growth of business, social media, that type of stuff. We have 2 socials every month, social and a breakfast, and really just work to promote business and economy mainly in Salt Lake. We do reach Ogden, Provo. We need to get a little bit better about spanning the Utah area, but so for now we're a lot Salt Lake, Ogden, Provo.
What if someone like us, like if I'm trying to think of the word that you said,
join
allies,
ally.
Oh.
If an ally wanted to become a member, what are the steps that we could take to get involved?
So there's a few different levels, and it depends on their basically tiers. Mm-hmm. So a nonprofit, there's nonprofit status, and then there's bronze, silver, gold, and then our corporate partners. And so you would just join like any other business. So there's different tiers on UtahGayChamber.com. That's our website. You can look at what they all mean in terms of what level you would like to join.
Why do you feel there's a need to have the Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce? Because it's not a regular chamber of commerce, obviously. Why do you feel there's a need for it?
Just to know that there are the counterculture of Utah, like you said that earlier, and that's I think what the goal is for Salt Lake and for Utah. It's really fun to see, as I mentioned earlier, moving to San Diego, to see some more of that diversity. But man, since I've grown up here, it's changed a lot, and it's fun to see the growth, and that we're not just this community that everyone might know us for. And so it's really great that we're here to support and to support other business owners. And we've done this year a lot of joint efforts with other LGBTQ business owner or business communities, Pride Center, Equality Utah, HRC, but then also the other diversity chambers. So the African American Chamber, which is now the Black Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, Pacific Islanders. And the goal is to let us be known in Salt Lake that we are different. We are cool. We are here. We are diverse. And
now there's all those other chambers here in Salt Lake City.
Right.
Wow. We're getting some culture and diversity here.
Good
I remember
us,
when
right?
I moved to Utah, 25 years ago, it was all just
Very
no diversity, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Right.
And it's exciting to see the growth here. Mm-hmm. We didn't even talk about like your specific role yet with the the Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber. You're the president, right? How did that happen? I mean, you haven't obviously always been the president.
This is true. How did it happen?
Why did
it happen?
Why
No.
do you do this to yourself?
No, I really love it. I'm humbled by it every day. This is my first full year as chair. It's chair or president, however you want to call it.
What do you like?
We like to confuse people. Well, I like
You like-
Madam President. Is technically
I like that too.
Okay, Madam President, right?
So I was a member of the chamber, and just seeing it be present, and then I became the secretary of the chamber. Kind of stepped up to be on the board, and then I was asked to run and become the chair. And I thought, well, I don't have enough to do. I'm not running my own business. I have plenty of time to take this on. But it really is humbling, and it's made me grow over the past year. My chairmanship, however you want to call it, started January of this year of 18 and goes through 19. And I've grown so much as a person, and it's different than, I have sort of not the employees, but the other board members, and they're all volunteers. So we all have to understand what that looks like and work with each other with integrity. And it's like owning a company, and we've grown, 54% this year.
Because you're the president.
I don't think that's why, but it's been awesome though to see the growth. It's been really fun. It's a lot, and we're all trying to figure out our roles. We just went through elections, and happy to say we have 4 new board members that are joining our team. So Kylie's not new, but she's
not
now
new.
our vice chair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she'll be she likes to call it the Biden to my Barack.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I can't remember.
We love her here, so that's why we bring her
Seeing
up.
pictures of you two together just makes me feel so good inside.
When I saw that, I swear it was just this last week, wasn't it? That you were talking about her getting vice president.
Yep.
And I was like, I sent her a message. I said, hey, we're going to be chatting with Tracey on the podcast. Do you have any questions? She actually posted in the Facebook group. We're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But I was excited because she's a big fan of the show. We've had her on the podcast, obviously. Now, do all states have a Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce?
Well, not a Utah one, but
not Utah. Okay. Not Utah, but a Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. Is this all over the United States at least?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so we just this year joined there is a national Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce that is in Washington, D.C. We just joined that this year. So I'm very happy about what that looks like. And I can go into more detail about that. I can talk about that probably all day because it's just they're doing awesome things. But there's 52 affiliate chambers throughout the United States. And then they also have some international, I don't know if they're called chambers or affiliates internationally as well. So I think there's 6 different countries that play in the area of the Gay and Lesbian chambers. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't know exactly what they're called, but they've been great. So not every city and not every state, and it's different. So for example, San Francisco, obviously California is huge. So they have a San Diego Equality in Business, and then they have a San Francisco, and they have a lot of different ones that are broke down. And Seattle's actually the largest. There are 1,300 members in the Seattle chamber. I thought it would be San Francisco or LA, but no, Seattle's the largest.
That's kind of surprising, but awesome.
I just went back to Philadelphia for the National Gay and Lesbian. They have an annual conference, and I was just blown away by how cool everyone was, wanting to help us and we're all in the same business of getting members, but then there's also entrepreneurs that are there. And then through the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber, and this is one of the major perks of being part of our membership, is to become LGBTBE certified. That's a mouthful, but so if you're 51% LGBT owned, then you can get certified through the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber and work with the supplier diversity guys. And at this conference were, the Fortune 500s, the Googles, American Airlines, Toyota, AT&T, all the big guys, and they want to promote diversity in businesses. And so you can become, you can get business and bid on large projects for those companies.
We need to actually take a quick break here to play a couple messages from our sponsors. So hang tight. We'll be right back. We got a lot more to talk about. All right. It's that time of the podcast where we take a couple of minutes, tell you about our amazing sponsors. One thing, keep in mind, you guys, supporting these sponsors, you are actually supporting I Am Salt Lake podcast. So keep that in mind. We love them and we'd like them to stick around as sponsors. So this episode of the podcast is sponsored by Market Source Real Estate. I know a lot of listeners listening right now, you might be looking to move to Salt Lake City. Maybe you got a job transfer and you're coming here and you're like, I don't even know where to move to. I don't even know what a good deal is. I don't have a realtor. Jeremy and Monique Higginson of Market Source Real Estate, they are top-notch people. If you love the charm and character of old homes, contact Monique and Jeremy Higginson of Market Source Real Estate.
Yeah, they're truly experts in this field. For the last 17 years, they've been specializing in helping people buy and sell homes in the Sugar House and Greater Salt Lake area.
They actually have a background of flipping homes because they've owned almost 24 homes themselves, so they know all the ins and outs of older homes.
And if you're looking to sell your home, maybe move across town, Market Source Real Estate specializes in helping sellers update or repair their homes to increase their value and make sellers more money.
Head on over to their website. It's thinksaltlakecity.com. It's all one word, thinksaltlakecity.com. Or you can give them a call at 801-810-6773. Like I said at the beginning of this, if you are looking to move to Salt Lake City and you do not know where to begin, contact Monique and Jeremy Higginson of Market Source Real Estate. Again, their website is thinksaltlakecity.com. And many thanks to Market Source Real Estate for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. All right, this episode of the podcast is also sponsored by our friends at Five Wives Vodka. All year long, we have been talking about Five Wives Vodka. They have been amazing sponsors to work with. Not only are they local, but they are a delicious vodka. This is a great way to support this podcast. The next time you head on over to the state liquor store, pick up a bottle of Five Wives Vodka, pick up an extra bottle. It's a great holiday gift to give your neighbor.
If your wife has a huge stocking, it might be a good stocking stuffer.
Is that a hint for you, Christina?
Well, I did wink at you, so maybe.
They actually have 3 different flavors of Five Wives Vodka that we're going to be telling you all about. They have the original flavor. This is the one that I like. This is the one that's made from Utah mountain spring water. It's 100% distilled corn spirit, and it's gluten-free, you guys. The spring is hidden in beautiful Ogden Canyon. It's inaccessible by vehicle, so they're actually hiking this water out 5 gallons at a time.
I tell you what, that is commitment to making vodka. I don't think I would be able to do that, so good on them. And they make Five Wives Sinful. It's a flavored vodka with a delicious cinnamon taste. Unlike other cinnamon products that give you a cinnamon candy taste, Sinful is more like a morning cinnamon roll with only 76 calories per ounce.
They also make the Five Wives Heavenly. This is another one of their flavored vodkas with a delicious vanilla taste. Heavenly's rich, buttery vanilla flavor, it comes through without coating your taste buds with sugar, which results in more vanilla and less calories. You can head on over to their website, fivewivesvodka.com. You can find out more about their awesome products, or just hurry up, get in your car, head on down to the state liquor store, pick up a bottle of Five Wives Vodka. This is a great way to support the podcast, you guys. And many thanks to Five Wives Vodka for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. What do people say out of state when they find out Utah? I mean, I'm sure they don't expect Utah. A lot of people outside of Utah don't even know. I mean, we have an openly gay mayor.
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
People don't expect these type of things out of Utah. So what do you hear from people?
That was the fun part of Philadelphia. That was our first meeting we've gone to. And to be able to represent Utah as a whole, again, is one of these humbling moments for me in being the Madam President of the Chamber. But it was so fun to see people's faces and to explain these things to them, that we are diverse and we do have, a gay mayor and we have this and that, and to educate people on what that looks like. And we're not this old Salt Lake when I grew up and from before.
Do you ever have a feeling of a little bit of pressure kind of being the representative for Utah?
Now she does.
That's kind of a lot. No, I mean, no stress, but
yeah, I mean, when I posted it and I said I was, it kind of hit me right there. I was like, oh, I'm representing Utah Gay and Lesbian Chamber. And it is a big deal, and it does come with a level of responsibility. But I feel like I represented us well, and I have a fun personality. So I met a lot of people, and really, really got into working with other people, and everyone's there to help. It was such an awesome thing to see from every walks of life, from the guys at Google to the entrepreneurs to the small chambers. Hawaii's just forming their chamber, and that guy, just a go-getter, just really fun to see. So yes, there was a fair amount of pressure. I realized it when I was on the plane, but I'm okay with that. I'm pretty good with pressure.
What do you think your biggest struggle with what you do is, being a president of this? Is there anything?
I mean, I think I still hear, I didn't know there was a chamber. And so
you hear that from people in Salt Lake? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. In fact, we have our annual gala. It is gala every April.
Awesome. And it's clever.
Yeah.
What is that?
So it's a membership drive, essentially. So it's the first Thursday in April, and it will be again I don't know, 2019. I think it's the 4th. And so when we were doing it for this year, we had some PR, and I was on some of the local TV stations and radio stations, and I kept consistently hearing that, oh, we didn't know there was a chamber. We didn't know there was a
I didn't know. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. I mean, we found out when we met you, which it was a very fun time meeting you. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. And so that's really obviously we have other challenges like budgets and numbers and members and, growing too fast and being sustainable. But yeah, really the number one thing for me is getting people to know that we're here and we're a vibrant community. And then again, I would love to get more LGBTBE businesses certified in Utah. That's a big goal of mine. And currently we don't have any, but we have 2 in the application status. And being a member of the chamber, I don't know if I said this earlier, it's a free registration if you're a member of the chamber.
What to register your business?
Yes. So there are so if you're a minority-owned business, a woman-owned business, or LGBT-owned business, you can go through the regulatory bodies and get certain, what's the word?
Like benefits?
Contracts.
Contracts.
Business.
Okay, right.
And so for the LGBTBE certification, there's a process that you go through the NGLCC, which is the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber. And there's a $400 upfront application fee to go through all this. And then they even do a site visit. And they go through your financials, and it's a big deal, to make sure that you're legitimately 51% LGBT owned and all this other stuff, to make sure that it's legitimate to tell AT&T that you are a partner in this. So if you're a member of the chamber, the $400 is waived, as is the renewal fee of $250. I think it's $250 to renew. So it's a huge benefit to our members. And then the corporate partnership is really fun. We just brought that this year. And really, that's for the larger corporations where you're probably not you don't really, like Ancestry.com doesn't need to come to our networking. We kind of all know who Ancestry is. We all know who Overstock is, Wells Fargo, those larger companies. But we'd like them to be our corporate partners in this, and to build, a larger budget and to be able to reach more. Really, the goal is to be sustainable in our growth and reach more throughout, not just Salt Lake, but, to reach further to St. George and to Moab, do Moab Prides. And we did Logan Pride this year, but to have the capabilities to do that.
Wow. So I know they did a Provo Pride. Mm-hmm. They had a Logan Pride, Salt Lake Pride, Ogden.
Moab, St. George.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I was
There's a lot
actually
of
just
pride.
still surprised. No offense, Provo listeners. I was surprised when this has been a few
Provo's
years
huge.
ago.
Yeah.
Props to you guys. I tip my hat to you.
Indeed. What can our listeners do to help you or to get involved, or what could we all do basically?
Obviously, we're on the social media channels on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Utah Gay Chamber. And then Instagram, thank you to Kylie for coming up with our Instagram handle. It's utah.gay.saltlake.chamber, something similar to
And I'll
that.
look that up and even put it
Thank
on
you.
at imsaltlake.com
Thank you.
so we get it right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just following us and, supporting us in some of the events that we do. And I like to also work with the diversity chambers. And so we're kind of as one supporting other people's, all of our events. And if you know a corporation that would be a good fit that's looking to partner with someone and get so that we know that there's fair-minded individuals in business, that would be great to get more corporate partners. Awesome. If you're not a business owner, we also have a ton of fun. We have a monthly social the first Thursday of every month. Just come out and have fun with us.
Now, so
really,
we could go to that. Christina and I could
totally.
go to that. We should go to sometime.
We totally should.
Yeah, just go hang out,
I'm down.
There's a couple of questions we asked in our Facebook group that we invite everybody to join us at imsaltlake.com/group. It will forward you right to the Facebook group. You saw them, so you're familiar a little bit with it because I know you're in the group. I'm gonna talk Kylie's questions here. Kylie Howell, who we've been talking about. She asked, why did she want to be the chair of the chamber versus just a member or board member, which I think you kind of touched on that a little bit.
It really goes back to my personality and just jumping in. And that's what I've always done in life. And going back to the accident, I live life differently than I think I ever would. And I see that in myself in knowing that whatever you're doing, do it the best you can do. So if you're a stay-at-home mom, be the best stay-at-home mom you can be. And I don't care what that looks like. It doesn't mean it's a clean house, but being the best board member for me was then we have the awesome Brad Case that had led the chamber for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And, he was great, but he was done and needed someone to step up. And I saw that opportunity to lead and to be in this great community in Salt Lake. And so really it's just getting out there and being my best. And that's how I felt that I could help the chamber the best.
She also asks on here is, what is your vision for the future of UGLCC? I like how she broke that down.
Right.
Is that typically how you refer to it as UGL?
I do.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because
It's a lot shorter.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
UGLCC and the NGLCC is the national. So if you hear me say that,
Okay.
if I can shorten it out, that'd be awesome.
So what is the vision for the
So the
future of that?
vision, well, my big vision is to bring the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce meeting here to Salt Lake, which is about 1,800 people from international and national, as I mentioned earlier. So we went to Philadelphia this year. Next year, it's in Tampa. The year after, it's in Vegas. So we're putting in the bid along with Visit Salt Lake to host the 2022 or 2023 conference.
Wow.
So that would be
so
cool.
cool.
Is there anything we could do to help with that? I mean, can people of the city help out
Can
with
we campaign or tweet at them?
or is that just kind of, it is what it is?
That's fun. Well, so Visit Salt Lake, the first RFP is due in December. So I'm touching base with them to see if we're going to move forward with it. The biggest thing that we're lacking, I know we, as a city, we put on the Olympics. So I know the city itself is capable, and Visit Salt Lake is awesome. And they want to help and get this, bring this to fruition. But the biggest thing that we're lacking is we need growth, we need corporate partners, and we need more LGBTBE. So all those gay and lesbian owned businesses, I would love to get them certified. And that's really, I might be putting the cart before the horse and bidding on this because we don't have any BEs currently in the state or in the city. And
Can I ask an ignorant question?
Please.
What is BE?
Oh, so business enterprise. So it's LGBTBE.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
That's just the code word for your 51% LGBT owned.
Okay. See, there you go. I learned something today.
Sorry, I should have said that earlier. But yeah, that's the shorter term vision, I guess, is to, gather more corporate sponsors and get more LGBTBE certifications in Utah. And coincidentally, we're joining with the other diversity chambers that I mentioned earlier, and we're going to be a part of Silicon Slopes in January.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So I think we're going to get some pretty good partnerships out of that. And then there is a new website called Living Color UT. Are you guys familiar?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Not yet. Now we are.
See, yeah. So it's all the diversity chambers, and then we're going to be added. So if you go there right now, we're not going to be on there, but it was an idea from, I believe, the governor's office or the mayor's office when, we're growing so dramatically, especially in the Silicon Valley, Silicon Slopes, as we call it. You guys know the Utah Valley.
All the tech stuff.
All the tech stuff,
Yeah.
right.
That's right up
That's my
Christina's
jam.
thing there she's a UX
right.
designer.
That's what I do.
Oh my gosh, I forgot who I was talking to.
You're talking to the Christina.
Yeah. But
That is not impressive.
I don't even know what
You're
UX
sweet.
means. So,
User experience.
oh, right.
Yeah.
Got it.
I know it's a weird thing.
That's exciting. But anyhow, so with people moving here, they have the same stereotypes that maybe we've heard in the past is, I don't know what and this is coming from the Black Chamber. I'm a Black person. Am I going to be able to get my hair done here? I'm an LGBT, that's how I identify. Doesn't mean that that's what the person is, but, do I have a community here that I can go to, that I can have fun? Is there a bar here? Do you guys serve alcohol here?
A lot of people don't even think we have booze here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a solid question.
Solid question. Solid issue. So coming together, the Living Color UT website is for all those diversity chambers to put up, from their members, here's some Jamaican food, or here's some, whatever their members have available. And again, so the LGBT side is support your LGBT business owners. And so that's a fun new project too.
That's a great hub for people to be able to explore.
There was one more question here from Kylie. I don't want to forget it here. She wants to know, who is her dream gala keynote speaker?
Thank you, Kylie, for the question. So this was pretty cool. Last year we had Mayor Ben McAdams. When I say last year, it's really this year, but last gala. So Mayor Ben McAdams, and he was great among some other speakers, Chad Anderson, and I'm forgetting the name of the two other women who were instrumental in the Quiet Heroes story, and they were instrumental in the AIDS crisis. They were a nurse practitioner. Their name is eluding me at the moment. So they were awesome this year. And 19 is Bobby, who is the inventor of the Squatty Potty.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So he's from St. George, actually. He was on Shark Tank.
Very cool.
I love Shark Tank. But anyway, so he's a pretty big name.
But who's your dream? You got to have a dream person.
Like a Michelle Obama would be pretty cool.
That would be.
I know Barack's coming, but it's kind of expensive to get a ticket.
He's doing the same thing that Oprah is going to be at, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that bad. Then you get Barack and Oprah.
Yeah.
Plus there's probably others. But.
There's probably other that I'm just not thinking of, other LGBT business owners and people that would probably suit the community better. But I'm being a little bit, I love Michelle Obama, so.
She's great, yeah. Maybe she'll run for president. I don't know. We don't need to get political here.
Hey, I like that idea.
There's a question here. Should we attack this question from Jim?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Jim asked in the Facebook group as well. I wonder how the chamber feels about the executive director of Equality Utah attending the groundbreaking for a Chick-fil-A franchise, given that the parent company donates millions to anti-gay organizations which have earned the designation of hate groups by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Well, that's quite the question, Jim.
The question.
Kind of a heavy question.
It is.
When he posted that, I'm like, ooh, do we want to go there? I felt bad for you, Tracey. So
it's a valid question.
It is.
And here's the, we're not going to take a stance as the chamber, but Troy Williams, the executive director of Equality Utah, those guys do so many amazing things. And they really are bringing together, the left and the right, or however you want to call it, and, creating this dialogue between people that really don't usually have a dialogue. So everything he's doing is great. This was interesting when I saw there was an ad in Q Salt Lake, or an article, I should say, that came down on Troy pretty hard. And what had happened, so the owner of this Chick-fil-A, she's a huge supporter of LGBT and suicide awareness here in Salt Lake. And she put tens of thousands of dollars to support Live Loud, to support and feed the volunteers there. I don't know if she fed them Chick-fil-A. That's actually an interesting question. But nonetheless, she then received death threats and was shunned. And then, her stance is, I've just spent my own money on this. And she felt bad because she's always been a committed person. So she was opening her Chick-fil-A store in Riverton. My other question is why is she opening a Chick-fil-A if you're...
Well, that's what I was wondering. Like, if you support it, why are you...
So she has grown up. So I guess she worked for Chick-fil-A. And again, I don't know these people directly, but what I heard is she grew up working high school for 26 years at Chick-fil-A.
So she was just very familiar with it.
Yeah. So she knows the processes. She loves the...
I worked at Arctic Circle, but I didn't open up an Arctic Circle. I mean, come on,
Oh, Chris, that's true. But nonetheless, she saw that vision and thought that that's what she wanted to do. And I don't know her thinking behind, how do you be a supporter of something that does, they still support conversion therapy as far as I understand in some articles that I've read and
which is a very disgusting thing.
Very disgusting. Yeah. Have you guys seen the movie Boy Erased yet?
No. Is it good?
Okay. It's really good.
It's going to make me cry.
So,
well, yeah.
I want to let me give 2 cents on that really quick though. It's obviously I don't want to give my money to them, to Chick-fil-A myself. Right. But here's the thing is a lot of times we don't know what businesses put their money.
Precisely.
Right?
Yeah.
Precisely.
We shop at places all the time and we don't know where they're sending the money. I mean, so
we
it's
do more now.
In their defense. I mean, I'm not justifying it by any means, but it's hard to, you got to live life still.
Well, and then we have this question of local versus national. And I mean, she's still supporting a local community in Riverton and
giving jobs. Yeah.
And again, giving that 10,000 or whatever money she gave. And the bottom line for me is there was so much hate spewed between, death threats to the Equality Utah folks and to her. And I just won't stand for that.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. That's the main issue in this story, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what Troy Williams thought he needed to do and did is his own prerogative. Maybe I know the dialogue needed to be there. Maybe the sponsorship or the endorsement didn't need to be there. But again, they're doing awesome things. And so do you discount it? I know there's two sides, especially in this story, that are supportive and that are very non-supportive. I think it's a hard issue. And I know I'm sort of skirting around the answer here because I don't know what the
it's a lot of pressure on you to give the right answer, but it's like Jim says, just go support Pretty Bird, right? They're local. They're,
what
that's an easy answer.
I'd love to see her do with this though. Start donating Chick-fil-A to every time there's a gala or there's an event or, just start.
I don't think we would.
No, is that bad? You wouldn't eat it?
No.
Okay. Let's just take that out. I'm just saying, twist it on its head, right?
I get what you were trying to say, though.
Yeah, I'm
totally.
Spite them.
So that's the other thing is I was during this whole thing, I was at the conference that I spoke of earlier. And I started taking my own little poll with people and I started talking to entrepreneurs and trans women. And, I said, what do you guys think of this? And you know what? The overwhelming response was, we do not need hatred. He is starting the conversation, albeit at a local level, but that's where conversations start, right? So can that parlay to what's his name, owner of Chick-fil-A? I don't even need to say it, to be honest. I don't care. But can that change the attitude of Chick-fil-A? And we don't know the answer to that, right? So if you look at it in that perspective, maybe that is it. Maybe that is what Troy envisioned, and that's what the woman that owns it envisioned, and that's okay too.
It's hard to know what the answers is, and at the end of the day, you have to follow what is in your heart, I think. Right. I mean, maybe that's a bad answer too. I don't know. At the end of the day, there's plenty of places to get a chicken sandwich.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't need to go to Chick-fil-A to get a good chicken sandwich. I want to touch on, I also want to find out a little bit about Tracey Dean Financial. Is that okay to find a little bit about this? I mean, because obviously we're here to find out about Tracey Dean.
Sure.
What is it?
So you can find a little bit, but because of my advertising rules with FINRA, I can't
you
speak
can't really talk
much
too
about
much.
that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But so I am an investment advisor representative. So I do, the reason that my why for getting in the business, which I can talk about, is because of my accident, I saw health insurance, disability insurance, and obviously I didn't need the life insurance, but I was 23 at the time and I had those things in place. And, you know, my medical bills to date, and I speak to high school and college students about this all the time. And there's a great debate on the health insurance side, especially right now. But, you know, my bills would be approximately $500,000. And if I wouldn't have had health insurance, you know, that would have bankrupted someone. I didn't work for a year. I couldn't work for a year. And so, but I had disability insurance and they did cover payments for that. And so I'm very passionate about helping other people, creating that base in their financial picture. And, you know, financial planning, I call it's like Everest. You know, you're building that base and then you're walking up the mountain and then getting down the mountain in retirement. So I do all of those things in between. But again,
Man, you're a busy person.
I know you do a
Little bit.
lot.
How do you keep sane? What's your secret?
drinking. Oh, no. So I have a very supportive partner. We've been together 12 years. I have two beautiful stepdaughters. And so we have a lot of fun. But what we do.
And you said she's pretty supportive.
She's very supportive.
Yeah.
If you don't have a supportive person behind you, then I couldn't have done any of this.
Yeah.
Literally. And the past year's been a lot because my schedule is pretty full and she works, so I'm self-employed and she works an 8 to 5 and those two things don't collide very easily. And she doesn't, there's a lot to networking and that's where I met you guys. And so there's a lot that I do but she's
With self-employed, you can't ever really put work to the side.
Right.
It's kind of just integrated into every part of your life.
right.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because then I can, next week we go to San Diego and, I asked my boss if I could take it off and she said yes. So that's pretty cool.
You have a great boss.
I know. She's sweet. But we do love to golf. So my passion, and really right now it's pretty challenging because it's kind of cold. So that's what I do. And I've noticed myself when I've been able to golf and not golf, how I stay sane.
Where's, you mentioned golf. Obviously we probably have listeners that love golf or that are moving here that want a good place to golf. Where would you tell them to go golf at?
So I love in North Salt Lake, Eaglewood.
Okay. Yeah. That's a great
Beautiful,
course. Yeah.
beautiful course. Our bucket list item is to golf every course in Utah. So I love golfing all the little courses too in Fillmore and Moab has a beautiful course. Obviously St. George. We haven't even golfed many of them. St. George. Hobble Creek is amazing. That's in your neck of the woods, I think.
Really?
Yeah. You're not that far south, but
No.
Wait, what now?
Springville.
We just live in downtown here.
Oh, I lied. I thought you were in American Fork for some reason.
No.
We have family in American
Yeah,
Forks.
yeah. We
same
have family there. No.
Okay.
I couldn't live in American Fork. Do I look like an American Fork person?
No, but I thought
Anything south
I'm giving you a hard
South
time.
Salt
I'm
Lake.
giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
Giving you a hard
you're
time.
one of those can't go south of 21st, right?
Yeah.
Got it. But so, and Utah is great that way that we have really affordable, very nice public golf courses.
What about boondocks? You got the mini golf.
That's awesome. I actually have a putting green in my backyard.
I'm messing around.
I'll just go in my backyard.
You're like,
putting green.
You're like looking at me like, what are you talking about?
I can only mini golf.
Well,
so good for you.
It's funny you brought that up because I always ask people other hobbies and interests as we're getting to know them. And you mentioned golf. I don't know. Is there anything else that you like to do in your spare time when you're not out, running the chamber and doing your financial stuff and
Making the world a better place.
Yeah.
In general.
Thanks. I love, networking, I guess I think networking is fun and I have a fun time doing it because I get to meet new people.
Sure.
I love to travel. We went to Thailand this year.
Wow.
So,
I'm jealous of that.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Why don't we
you
go to
guys.
Thailand?
We should.
Okay.
Let's
You
make a
guys,
goal.
it's really pretty inexpensive.
Is it?
Yes.
I've actually known of a few people just this year who have gone and they've
Yeah.
all loved it.
Go in January. That's the best time to go. It's still blazing hot.
Over
but
in Thailand.
You guys, it was incredible. And the nicest people besides the people that are in Salt Lake.
What country is it? Is it Thailand that the internet doesn't work? Isn't there one of those countries that you can't use your phone? I swear it was like Thailand.
Probably.
No, it's not Thailand. That's like Bangkok.
Is it Bangkok?
No, that's you can use your phone in Bangkok.
It doesn't matter. I was just curious.
Like Cowboy.
I don't know because they can't tell us, right? Like they're not putting it online. That is not working.
Yeah, maybe that country where women can't drink.
Man,
there's a country that women can't drink.
Oh, I'm sure there's a country for everything women can't do.
Yes,
right? There's a lot of that.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I think it's Dubai.
What?
Guys,
Really?
We should look that up
Dubai
later.
is not lit.
Wait, that you can't use the internet?
No, that you can't drink, but you might not be able to use the internet in Dubai.
You can do anything in your closet.
Well, you can. That's a good one, especially being gay.
I totally
What
did that.
Or bi.
What about the most memorable concert or sporting event? Another question I ask people that come on the show.
That's so awesome you asked because you're actually talking about it on your page right now. And it was the 2002 Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who did you see during that one?
So I didn't see a lot of concerts, but I did see Train.
Okay.
And I did go to the snowboard finals. I had pneumonia, so it was interesting. But the women's snowboard finals. But Train was awesome. But remember how cold it was?
Yeah.
Do you guys remember?
Very cold. Were you here at all?
It was 2002. You know, I was here, but I was in Provo.
Okay,
and
we
I
don't
never-
remember
I
the
never came
Olympics,
up
girl.
I think it was
yeah.
about the time I moved back from Pennsylvania because I lived out there for about 5 years. I moved away out there and I came back. And the only live music concert that I went to, I remember Modest Mouse.
Yeah, you commented.
Modest Mouse.
Yeah.
Do you think the Olympics? Do you think we have a shot at that? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know the story.
Hold you to your opinion, but
so I saw that it's between us and Denver,
Yeah.
and I don't know what Denver's situation is. But I mean, all of the areas are still nice. Rice Cycles is getting a rehab, I suppose, but all the jumping and the jumping, I don't know, the things in Park City are still around. So yeah, I think we do have a good shot at it. I think would be a great host city again. And obviously there's some pros and cons to that.
I think it'd be great for Salt Lake City.
Oh,
and
it'd be
I'm not even like an Olympics person, you know. It's not that I sit and watch it when it's going on, but I just think it'd be great for our city.
I watch it every
Do you really?
day. Seriously, I love it.
What's your favorite thing about the Olympic sport or
I mean, sounds a little silly, but just the camaraderie between the countries.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the opening ceremonies, I mean, I'm not a crier, but it does kind of bring a tear to my eye, and it's just so cool to see everyone come together. I know that sounds silly, but it's awesome. And then all the sports and all the sportsmanship that you see throughout. Obviously, well, snowboarding is my favorite. I don't snowboard much anymore because of the bars and screws and arthritis throughout my body, but I love the snowboarding the most.
Just a couple of final questions here about Salt Lake City. If somebody was visiting Salt Lake City, say this upcoming weekend, Tracey, what would you tell them to do or check out? Say they've never been here.
So I love and I know a lot of people, talk about the hiking. The living room hike is cool. The Antelope Island, the Spiral Jetty, I would also recommend. RSL. There's so many great things. I actually did a list not too long ago for someone in California and wrote down all the things. And Salt Lake Acting Company. There's so many great, it just depends on what you want. There's also fun bars, like the Axe Bar and the Quarters Bar and all of that stuff.
A lot of unique individual ones coming to Salt Lake versus what used to be here. But because you would be surprised how many people hit me up. They don't even know where to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Us three, we have access to know where to go for that. But you'd be surprised how many people, it's like they've lived here 5 years and they just found out about the downtown farmers market or something like that.
Right.
You're just like, wow.
Right.
What about favorite local eating spots? Do you have one or two that you would recommend?
Yes. I love food. I know it's a podcast, so you can't really tell, but anyway, I love Copper Onion downtown. Okay. And I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Voltaire's Osteria.
Oh, I have heard amazing.
Isn't that the one that
Hugh Jackman went to?
Hugh Jackman went there when he came for doTERRA. That caught me off guard when I found out he was here for doTERRA.
Did you see he just lost his house? Did you know he lost his?
Really?
Oh, was he one of the California people?
Yes.
Well, my sister lost her house too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Man,
that's horrible.
They should just move to Utah.
It's true, and he could go hang with Voltaire. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he came to our table. He comes to all the tables. And you have to have a reservation. And you guys, I've never been to Italy, but
it was pretty close.
It was
the owner chef comes to all the tables.
Yeah.
Let's
Voltaire.
Let's go.
We really need to go.
been.
I've
I used to
Please
live.
go.
I used to live right by there.
Right.
Yeah.
Or an American Fork, like I thought. Close. Really close.
It's really the same thing.
But yeah, he comes to every table, but you have to make sure you have a reservation. Even on a Monday night, they're packed. Like full, like reservation full.
That's great though. That
is
a restaurant
great.
like that would be
But
packed.
Copper Onion's really good too.
What would you change about Salt Lake City? If you could change one or two things, I know this is like a really tough question because I could think of like 50 things off the top of my head, but
I hear some guys on here saying, I wouldn't change a thing.
liar.
Well, you're actively making change too, which is cool.
Yeah, here's what I would the DABC
Sure.
is what I would change. There's been a lot of steps towards the LDS church and the LGBTQ population coming together, but I would change that narrative a little bit more. And it feels like every time we step forward, we take a few steps back, and that's also what I would change. And hopefully many organized religions feel the same. And hopefully that's not a Salt Lake thing though, although it is with our dominant religion. But it's very disheartening for our youth and for the suicides that are happening. And, I would change that narrative.
We're still one of the number one suicide places, aren't we? If I'm not mistaken. I knew at one time we were.
And from the LGBTQ side of things too.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah, that's a big problem here.
Yeah. I've had a great time chatting with you. I don't know if Christina usually has another question that she ends the show with, but I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to touch on that we didn't touch on, Tracy.
You guys, I don't think so. It was so awesome to come
I know it goes
here.
by so fast, right?
Yeah, I know it does.
This one felt like it went by especially fast.
I'm sorry.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. But
because we had so much fun.
I know, it really was.
Well, let's find out, before you ask your final question, how can people get in touch with you, Tracy? If they're listening right now, they want to get involved, websites, email, whatever information you want to give. Let's run down that really fast.
Yeah, so UtahGayChamber.com is our website. My financial website is TraceyDeanFinancial.com. My email is chair@UtahGayChamber.com. So, yeah, I would love to have you out. And obviously the social media ways as well. So we'd love to have you out. Just visit with us at one of our socials.
Reach out to her. Say, I heard you on that podcast, that I Am Salt Lake podcast. But I'll let you ask your final question, Christina.
Alrighty. Is there a piece of life advice that you would leave with our listeners?
I said it a little earlier, but basically live without regret. And knowing from my car accident, I think I've learned that, and learned that I haven't always made the right choices. I have a very colorful background of how I got here, but do what you're going to do the best you can do it. As I mentioned earlier, like the stay-at-home mom or whatever you're going to do, do with integrity, and don't live with regret.
I love it. Perfect place to end the show. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Many thanks again to Tracey Dean for joining us on this episode of the podcast. You can head on over to our website, iamsaltlake.com/359 for all the links mentioned in this episode's conversation and to get in touch with her.
All right, it's that time of the podcast where Christina and myself, we're going to offer some recommendations. These can be anything from a movie to a podcast to an article of clothing. I've had a lot of fun doing this segment with you, and it's been really fun to even see what you come up with, Christina, for it.
That's why I kind of like it too, to see what you're doing and what you're interested in this week.
So should I give my recommendation, or do you want to give yours first?
I'll give mine first.
Ooh.
All right. So my recommendation, it's actually kind of your recommendation because you recommended it to me, but it is the podcast Cold.
It is such a good podcast.
It really is. And you know what? Give it a chance. The first episode was hard for me.
Was it?
To get through. And I totally love all of my LDS family, friends, and everything. But listening to it, I felt like the message was, if you're not super LDS, then you're going to murder someone. So it took me a little while to push through feeling that way.
Interesting that you got that.
Just as an ex member of the church, which is a great church, I think I took it a little bit differently than a lot of people do. But then I realized that it was a good basic understanding for just the situation of, I forgot his name even, Powell.
Yeah.
Josh Powell. So it's the Josh Powell story kind of, and the Sarah Powell story.
They did an excellent job.
They did a really good job. Really good documentary.
KSL is doing that. Sorry, I was talking over you.
You're not talking over me. You're sharing. Yeah. So that's my recommendation this week.
My recommendation, this is going to be a lot of people I know already look at and read Slug Magazine. Slug Magazine is my recommendation. If you are unfamiliar with this publication, next time you leave like the record store or the next time you leave the laundromat, they probably have, one of those racks of Slug Magazine. This publication's been around, I believe, since the 80s. You would think I would know the history of it, but every month they have a new issue, and they're doing interviews with people in Salt Lake City, kind of keeping up on what's going on, especially with the music scene. It stands for Salt Lake Underground is what Slug stands for. I wonder if you even knew that, Christina.
I actually did know that because I'm on their email list.
And, I got a tattoo of a Slug record. I got it on their 25th anniversary. So Slug Magazine always holds a special place in my heart. So that's my recommendation for the week.
It's a fabulous recommendation. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you again to our amazing sponsors for this episode, Five Wives Vodka and Market Source Real Estate.
Also, many thanks to our awesome Patreon supporters. We'd love it if you would become a Patreon supporter. Head on over to patreon.com/IamSaltLake. We're also going to have the links for that on this episode at IamSaltLake.com. One thing keep in mind, as a Patreon supporter, you are going to help us get some new video equipment. We want to start doing some live streaming, start doing some videotaping, kind of Joe Rogan style. I don't know. that was pretty bad.
Get some facial expressions.
Anyway, patreon.com, that's spelled out patreon.com/IamSaltLake, and you can become a supporter for as little as $1.
And you can send us an email to say hello anytime you want at hello@IamSaltLake.com. And remember, you can send letters, packages, and non-perishable candy to P.O. Box 4412, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84110.
Let's fill that P.O. box up, you guys.
Lots of candy.
And we'll talk about it here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, you have a great week. Make sure to get out and enjoy the city, support local, and we're going to see you on the next episode.
Good night, Grammy.